Have you ever tried to baste a quilt with liquid washable glue? That's what we're going to try today. If you've been around for very long, you know that recently I tried to glue baste some quilt blocks with mediocre results, but I've heard the raving about quilting an entire quilt sandwich with the liquid glue, so we're going to give it a try. Of course, make sure you are using washable glue here. We need this to be able to wash out when our quilt is finished. I'm adding the glue in just a back and forth motion, leaving 2 to 3 inches between each pass, and trying to keep the glue bottle moving to prevent a large glob of glue in any particular place. Now we'll fold the batting over this half of the quilt and just smooth that down, very similar to how we might use a spray baste. I do want to work from what's the middle of the quilt and press out to prevent any wrinkles or folds in that batting that will then get glued down. And now we repeat the process, adding glue on top of the batting that will be covered up by the quilt top. I'm leaving a little bit more room between the strips of glue this time. It felt like a lot of glue when I was pressing down that batting, and I could tell it was soaking into that backing fabric quite a bit. So I've used a little bit less glue on this pass. Now I will add the quilt top. As before, start towards the middle and work your way out. I'm going to reposition this a little bit as I go. Because we are working with glue, we're not going to have as many opportunities to reposition. So really take your time as we go here and make sure that you're happy with the placement of the quilt top and that you're working out any wrinkles or puckers. The last step on the glue basting is ironing that glue so that it sets before we can use it. Now I have let this quilt sandwich sit for a couple of hours so that the glue that has soaked through the top isn't still wet and tacky. I definitely don't want that glue adhering to the surface of my iron. So I have given it some time and I'm just working out any of those wrinkles. You can see it wasn't looking that smooth before I've ironed it. This section that I have ironed looks pretty good, and I will iron the back as well to make sure we have those wrinkles out. Oh, and yep, some glue has transferred to the table. I was fairly concerned about this quilting that it would become kind of rough or my needle would get sticky when I stitched through those spots where the glue had transferred through. It really didn't, so far so good. Since we're already working with the glue, let's go ahead and try glue basting down the binding. I've seen this as a tip a lot and it's very intriguing to me. I'm typically a hand binder and I've rarely been happy with how a machine binding has turned out. So let's see if this is a solution for me. I'm just adding a small strip of glue right over the seam allowance and of course pressing that down to make sure that it is set before we move on. And then let's go to the corner. This is one of the trickiest parts, whether you're hand binding or machine binding, is getting these corners to lay nice and flat. So let's see how these turn out. When I'm doing these corners, I like to fold them in such a way that the bulkier part of the seam, the part that's on top, is reversed from front to back, so that they're folded in opposite directions. So I've just folded that how I wanted it, finger pressed a little bit, then lifted it back up so we can add our glue. Tuck that in just how we like it. Take your time here. Once this is ironed down, you may not be able to get it back up again, so make sure you're happy with it before you press it. I like how that looks. And I'll continue all the way around using my glue, and then we'll go to the machine to sew this down. I've decided to sew this on the quilt top, and I'm using a stitch in the ditch foot, which just means there's a little metal guide right there that helps you keep right in that crease. Here's our finished product. I'm really happy with how this has turned out. So let's get it in the washing machine and make sure that all of this glue is going to come out. I recommend a gentle detergent. I like to use Woolite. Here it is after it's first washed and dry. The glue is gone. We've got some fantastic quilt crinkle. It looks great. There's our finished binding. Very happy with this.
Thanks for watching. I hope you found something encouraging and inspiring today. Like and subscribe for more. I'll see you soon.